You've seen it on your social media feeds. Brilliant auroras glowing as far south as Florida, sudden GPS glitches, and erratic behavior from satellite networks. But what most people perceive as a beautiful light show is, for scientists, a distress signal we haven't heard in over 150 years. We are currently at the peak of solar cycle 25, and data from NASA's SDO observatories show that the sun has begun generating X-class flares with a frequency that defies all previous modeling. This isn't just space weather. It is the formation of a direct strike on our planet's digital nervous system, where a single massive coronal mass ejection could, within hours, turn a modern metropolis into a museum of the pre-industrial era. Today, we aren't looking at hypothetical movie scenarios, but at the actual vulnerability of our civilization. You'll discover why the subsea fiber-optic cables connecting continents are predicted to fail first, how solar particles physically melt copper transformers and power grids, and why modern electronics, unlike those from the 1960s, stand almost no chance of survival in a global geomagnetic storm. We'll analyze data that usually remains buried in the closed reports of utility companies to understand one thing. Is your family prepared for weeks or even months without communication, electricity, or the banking system? This investigation required a deep dive into the latest data from space agencies. So, if you value honest, scientific analysis without the sugarcoating, subscribe to the channel right now and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps me bring these complex breakdowns to life. Stay with us. The most critical facts are coming up next. The most terrifying aspect of a solar superstorm isn't what happens in the sky, but what happens at the bottom of our oceans. While the fiber optic cables that carry 99% of international data are immune to electromagnetic interference, the repeaters that boost the signal every 50 to 100 kilometers are not. These repeaters are powered by a single conductive line that spans thousands of miles, making them massive antennas for geomagnetically induced currents. During a massive solar event, these lines would experience a surge of high-voltage electricity that could fry the delicate circuitry of every repeater simultaneously. We are looking at a potential internet apocalypse where entire continents are digitally severed from one another for months, as repairing these cables requires specialized deep-sea vessels that would likely be grounded by the same power grid failures they are trying to fix. Furthermore, we must address the paradox of modern technology. The smaller we make our electronics, the more vulnerable they become. During the last major solar events in the mid-20th century, our infrastructure relied on robust vacuum tubes and heavy copper wiring. Today, our world runs on nanometer-scale transistors so sensitive that even a minor atmospheric ionization event can cause bit flipping, leading to systemic software crashes. In a full-scale X-class storm, the sheer volume of high-energy particles could penetrate the shielding of data centers and personal devices alike, corrupting operating systems and permanently damaging the delicate silicon wafers inside. It is a sobering reality. Our push for higher efficiency and smaller devices has inadvertently stripped away the very physical resilience we need to survive the sun's next major outburst. The most unsettling reality of a solar superstorm is the speed at which it moves. When a massive X-class flare erupts, the light and X-rays reach Earth in just 8 minutes, signaling the start of the event. However, the true threat, the Coronal Mass Ejection, or CME, is a billion-ton cloud of magnetized plasma that can travel at millions of miles per hour. While satellites like the Deep Space Climate Observatory, or DISCOVER, sit a million miles away to act as a buoy, they only provide us with a 15 to 30-minute window of definitive warning before the plasma cloud slams into our magnetosphere. In that narrow window, global power grid operators must decide whether to proactively shut down the world's electricity to save the hardware or risk a catastrophic surge that could melt the massive EHV, or extra high voltage transformers, that are the backbone of our civilization. These transformers are the Achilles heel of the modern world. They are not mass-produced. Each one is a custom-built, multi-ton beast that takes over a year to manufacture and deliver. If a geomagnetic storm induces high-voltage DC current into these AC systems, the internal cores can reach temperatures exceeding 200 degrees Celsius in seconds, causing permanent structural failure and fires. We are not just talking about a temporary blackout. We are talking about a scenario where the manufacturing plants needed to build new transformers are themselves without power. This is the cascading failure model that FEMA and national security agencies study in silence, a world where the grid doesn't just go dark, it physically breaks beyond the point of rapid repair. If the power grid fails on a continental scale, the secondary consequences will trigger a collapse far more rapid than the storm itself. Our modern society operates on a just-in-time delivery system that relies entirely on digital logistics. Within 48 hours of a total blackout, water treatment plants will lose pressure, fuel pumps will cease to function, and the global supply chain for food and medicine will simply vanish. We have spent decades optimizing our world for efficiency, but in doing so, we have eliminated the buffers and redundancies that once allowed us to weather localized disasters. In this scenario, the atmosphere isn't just disrupting our gadgets, it is deactivating the life support systems of our cities, leaving millions in a state of sudden, forced isolation from the resources they need to survive. Ultimately, the 2026 solar maximum serves as a final warning that we are a Tier 1 civilization living on a Tier 0 infrastructure. We are more dependent on the sun's stability than any generation before us, yet we are less prepared for its inevitable outbursts. The data we have analyzed today isn't meant to cause panic, but to highlight a fundamental truth. Our technological progress is built on a foundation of shifting magnetic fields. As we continue to move further into this period of peak solar activity, the question is no longer if a once-in-a-century event will happen, but whether we will have the foresight to harden our grids and secure our data before the next X-class flare turns the lights out for good. The sun is a reminder that for all our digital achievements, we are still subject to the immense forces of our local star. Whether we emerge from the solar maximum with a more resilient infrastructure or a shattered global network depends entirely on the actions taken by governments and industries in the coming months. As the atmosphere continues to pulse with the energy of solar cycle 25, the silence of the system remains our greatest threat. The data is clear, the warning has been issued, and the clock is ticking. Thank you for watching this deep dive into our planet's silent crisis. Stay informed, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.